Have you ever seen something so unfair, so heartbreaking, that you almost lost faith in humanity? Only for the story to turn around in the most unexpected way. Stay with me until the very end, because this story will restore your hope. And hey, if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because we share true, emotional stories that just might change your perspective on life. It all started on a cold afternoon. The streets were busy. People rushed with shopping bags in hand. Couples laughed. Families chatted. But in the middle of all that warmth and comfort, there stood one little boy. He couldn't have been more than 10. His jacket was too thin for the weather. His shoes were falling apart, and his face carried that look only hunger can carve into a child's eyes. Now imagine this. He pressed his tiny hands against the glass window of a small diner. Inside, people enjoyed plates of hot food, burgers steaming, fries crisp, bowls of soup sending waves of warmth into the air. His eyes followed every plate. His lips moved slightly, as if tasting the food with his imagination. And then, he made a decision. With all the courage he had, the boy pushed open the diner's door. The little bell jingled. A few heads turned, but quickly looked away. He walked carefully to the counter, his voice almost too soft to hear. "Excuse me, sir, could I maybe get something to eat? Just a piece of bread. Please. I don't have money." Now here's the moment where humanity could have shined. But what happened next broke everyone's heart. The cashier looked down at him with irritation. "This is not a charity," he snapped. "You want food? Pay for it." The boy's lips trembled. "But, sir, I'm really hungry." And then, in front of everyone watching, the man marched around the counter, grabbed the boy by the arm, and shoved him out the door. The child stumbled onto the cold pavement. He didn't even cry. He just stood there, eyes wet, staring at the ground, too humiliated to look back. Now pause for a moment. What would you have done if you were there? Would you have helped? Or, like the other customers, you would have looked away, pretending not to notice. But then, something happened. Just a few minutes later, the low rumble of engines filled the street. 1, 2, 3. Soon half a dozen roaring motorcycles lined up right in front of that same diner. The doors swung open, and in walked a group of bikers. Leather jackets, tattoos, heavy boots. They looked intimidating, the kind of people you'd move aside for. The atmosphere inside the diner changed instantly. Conversations went quiet. Forks froze mid-air. The cashier rushed over, plastering on a fake smile. "Right this way. Gentlemen?" But the leader of the bikers raised a hand. "Not yet." The cashier stopped, confused. "Not yet." The biker leaned closer, his voice was deep, steady. "Bring the kid inside first." The entire diner froze. "What kid?" the cashier asked, pretending not to know. The biker turned his head. Through the window, everyone saw him, the same boy, standing outside, shivering in the cold. The leader walked out, knelt down in front of the child, and removed his helmet. His face was rough, but his eyes kind. "Hey, buddy," he said softly. "Come with me." The boy hesitated, but the biker gently took his hand, and together they walked back inside. The bikers cleared the biggest table. They placed the boy right in the center, like an honored guest. The leader looked straight at the cashier. His voice carried weight. "Feed him. Whatever he wants. Put it on our bill." What happened next silenced the room. A plate of food arrived, fries, chicken, bread, even a glass of milk. The boy's hands shook as he picked up his fork. He looked around, almost afraid it would all be taken away. But the bikers, they just smiled, encouraging him. "Eat, kid. Your family now," one of them said. Tears rolled down his cheeks, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from gratitude. The other customers sat frozen. Some stared at their plates, ashamed they hadn't acted. Others kept sneaking guilty glances at the boy. And the cashier, he looked down, realizing how cruel he had been moments before. As the boy ate, the biker leader leaned in. His voice was calm, but carried a lifetime of wisdom. "Don't you ever think you're alone. There are people in this world who care. You matter. Always remember that." The boy nodded, swallowing hard, unable to speak. But his eyes said everything. When the boy finished, the bikers stood, paid the full bill, and left an extra tip so big the cashier could barely meet their eyes. Before leaving, the leader turned back to the entire diner. His voice echoed in the silence. Kindness costs nothing. But cruelty, it can cost you your soul. And with that, the engines roared again. The bikers disappeared down the street, leaving behind not just an empty table, but a lesson no one in that diner would ever forget. The boy walked away that day with more than a full stomach. He walked away with hope, with courage, with the knowledge that even in a cold world, there are people who will stand up for what's right. So here's the question for you. When you see someone in need, will you turn away like the crowd? Or will you step forward like those bikers and remind someone they matter? Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can be the one thing that changes a life forever. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove there is still good in this world. And remember, be the reason someone believes in humanity again.